Hey, I'm Alex Radical from Board Game Co.
Hi, I'm Rena, and today we are reviewing Trekking Through History by Underdog Games.
Trekking Through History is the newest iteration of Underdog series. They have Trekking the National Parks, they have Trekking the World, which we've played. We haven't played Parks. We'll talk about the World at another point. And now they have Trekking Through History. Same basic idea, degree of set collection, degree of simple mechanics that go through the game as you try to figure out the most efficient way to score a bunch of points while collecting various sets. This game is currently on Kickstarter. There'll be a link down below if you want to check that out. And worth noting, everything we cover here, from rules to components to all that stuff, everything is very much prototype. Pieces are prototype. I know some of them have been making some changes to some of the graphic design elements to make some things pop more. These trays are not what you can expect to see, so prototype. But with that, let's go into a general overview of how the game plays. And it's a fairly quick and easy game to explain. The game's going to be played across 3 rounds in which you are ultimately trying to make these treks through time. You're time jumping, hopping around, utilizing and spending your time crystals to make your actions more efficient as you try to gather sets of cards. That's all you're doing. Every single turn involves grabbing a card and then taking various bonuses based on the card and based on the spot, and then laying them into your own itinerary that you have over here. You're going to have this time track over here, this time tracker, where you're going to be monitoring the actions, and it's going to have one of those action mechanisms where you're going to spend time moving forward 1, 2, 3, and then the next player goes 1, 2, and if they're behind you, they go again. Whoever is furthest behind keeps going. So they go 1, 2, 3, you go 1, 2, you're on top, and you keep going. So it has that as a time mechanism to track the round, and every round is going to be that clock, those 12 time units to spend, although you can modulate that with time crystals. You see, an action involves you grabbing a card. Let's say I go ahead and I grab this card over here. I'm going to go ahead and take a time crystal because that's what's shown on the board. I'm going to put that into my little time bank, and then I'm going to spend 1 time unit, moving my token over here. If I'm red over here, I'm going to be moving forward 1 on the time track, and then I'll also take a red token, putting that on my red column over here on the itinerary. Additionally, I've started a trek. Now, this is actually a very bad starting card to take.
It's a really bad card.
That's okay. Rena's going to go ahead and show you what her turn looks like, which is more efficient than mine as all the cards slide down.
Okay, I am going to start with... Okay, did you move your timepiece down?
Yes.
I'm actually going to start with this one.
You're taking a 4?
I am, even
so
though it's a more
taking a 4,
card.
She's going ahead 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it's going to be back to my turn. Take your crystals.
I'm going to take 2 yellow and 2 blue, but because I did that, 2 blue and 2 yellow, I get 2 points for covering up the points, and I take a time crystal. Yeah,
so whenever you cover up crystals or points on your board, you're going to get those crystals or points. Additionally, you're going to, whenever you complete a row that's connected to a line, if you get all 3 of those, or however many there are, you'll go ahead and collect that number of points as well. Now, on my turn, these cards are going to slide down, and then on my turn, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what my inefficient turn cost me. There are currently no cards that I can actually take that fall above this trek, because in general, you're going through history. You're making a progression through time, and since I can't take any card that goes after this, I have to take a starting card. But before I do, I will show you the one option I do have, is that if you're ever stuck, or if you ever want to for one reason or another, you can always grab an ancestor, where you can go ahead and take one of these cards, which are effectively wild. They go anywhere in your time column, they give you a single wild placement. They're a little less efficient as far as the time unit to return ratio, the number of stuff you get back versus the time spent, so that's not a common action. So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put this off to my side as a complete set, which is going to cost me later, but again, inefficient turns for the sake of showing you how this works, and I'm going to start again. If you're taking a lower time card than the one you have to start a new trek through time, and I'm going to start this one off with 1472 BCE because that seems like a good spot to go. I'm going to go ahead and spend those time units going 1, 2, and then I'm going to go ahead and gather 2 red, which will go onto my board over here, and then again, because I'm behind Rena, I'll go again. Because I'm behind her on the track, I go again. I'll go ahead and grab 506 BCE, which is going to cost me 2 more time units. I'm going to once again move, going 1, 2. It'll be Rena's turn next. And again, I'll take a green from where the card was and a red, laying them into my board respectively in their respective positions. You're going to rinse and repeat that until you eventually make a full cycle around the clock. Once you've done so, your turn is over. You can go past the 12, but if you land exactly on the 12, you do get a punctuality bonus of 3 points. So you have to weigh up what you're getting in those extra time units versus whether it's worth it. Additionally, at any given point, you can spend those time crystals you've earned in order to move less spots further. You always have to move a minimum of 1, but if you're trying to earn that extra action or take 2 cards in a row when it's beneficial, spending these at the right time, while they are worth a point at the end of the game, they can give you a bunch of extra actions when it's beneficial to do so. You're going to be trying to go through that whole cycle. You're going to complete the full round, then you're going to remove all the age 1 cards, add in the age 2, and then again with the age 3 across 3 rounds, at which point the game will end. From there, you'll effectively get points for your time crystals, for the points you earned in-game for your itineraries, and these are going to shift up every single round. So every round you're going to get a new one to play. You can either select them, draft them, the few ways you get your hands on them, but you can be drafting a new itinerary each round. And then lastly, you're going to get points for each set of cards. This one card set is going to be -3 points. I played inefficiently and I'm getting punished for it. Whereas if you have a 7 card set, you'll get 15 points onwards and so forth, trying to get larger and larger sets of cards to get as many points as possible. And that is basically trekking through history. Anything I missed?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. But I guess we'll find out. That's where the rules come in. You can go ahead and find the rules over on the Kickstarter page. Or, of course, prototypes, so those things are subject to change. With that, let's go ahead and dive into the review. Starting off with ease of play. Ease of play in this game, very, very easy game to dive into. Rules are like 5 or 6 pages. Very clear. Lots of iconography, lots of pictures, lots of whatever. Not a lot of iconography, lots of images and pictures showing you what to go through. So very easy game to learn, very easy game to teach. Table space is what you see here, basically. You know, each player is building up their row, but not a lot of table space. And game time's going to fall somewhere in that half-hour mark, generally around half an hour to 45 minutes for the game. That will depend on player count. Speaking of which, as far as player count, this is, I believe, is a 2 to 4 player game, not a 1 to 4 player game. This is a 2 to 4 player game. We've only played this one at 3 players so far, although just in terms of the general speed of the game, I can see this working in 2, 4, all player counts. I can see this working at, as I'd have no qualms with diving in at any player count. And from there, let's go ahead into the what I like, don't like, and can see others not liking. Starting with yourself, what do you like about the game?
I like a few things. I like the theme.
Okay.
I very much am a history person. I always like that. On the back of each card,
yes,
it does have a little bit of information about the scene that's depicted on the cards. I really do like that. I like all the pieces. I like the layout. I like that for each age that you have. I don't know if we mentioned this. You get a new itinerary card.
Yes, I mentioned it briefly. Yep.
Okay, so you get a new itinerary card, and that allows you to choose like how you want to lay out your pieces. So that just adds another element that makes it a little bit more fun, because I know that like if I have a harder time reaching the bottom, I'll go for something that gives me more points up top.
Yeah, I agree. In general, having the different ways of scoring in the game give you a few different ways to go for different things. And I like if, additionally, you're trying to focus on whether to maximize your itinerary or alternatively to maximize whether you get these higher sets. Because very often you're so focused on getting your itinerary, you don't focus as much on the sets. And sometimes sacrificing a few extra tokens in order to have the longer set, in order to get sets that score you for chunks of extra points as you get higher on this track, that can be just as efficient as a trade-off, depending on how well efficient you actually do that. But I do like the variable pathways that the itinerary gives you. Anything else?
No, that was what I mean. I just like it's pretty.
It's pretty. It is pretty. It is the art in general across the game is solid. I like the time and the time tokens. I can't remember what these called. These time crystals, whatever it is. I like the fact that these give you another option of to choose when and how to get that extra card in. To get the you see 2 cards come out that work for you and you want them. If you've saved up your time crystals efficiently, you can almost always guarantee 2 turns in a row, assuming you've actually stored these properly. And that'll give you options to get the right cards that fit into your sequence, cards that give you the right crystals, the right colors over there. Lots of different options there as far as that. Anything else we like? I'd say the game length is very appropriate for the time, the 30 to 45 minutes for the type of gameplay it is. Very accessible, very easy to jump into, very easy to dive into.
I like that it gives you a heads up on top of your itinerary board
how
many spots are and how many points you could earn in total, so you don't have to sit there and count and guess and figure out what works for you.
Yeah, when you're picking your itinerary for the next round, having a quick glance at that can be helpful in that sense. As far as what we don't like.
It's very annoying when people steal the cards that fit into your timeline.
That's a good part of the game. That's a good part. That's in what we like section. Yeah. As far as myself, what I don't like, the biggest thing, and this is obviously a personal thing as far as game weight, game length, I like the game, I do, but overall I will say it is a little light on the decision space that it has. Now this is the norm for this particular series, for tracking the rural, tracking the national parks, and tracking through history. They're all offering very much gateway set collection games, simple mechanics, easy to jump into, and that's fine, but I keep finding that I wish there was a little bit more decision space or interesting things about anything, whether it was abilities on the cards, whether it was, some sort of extra abilities as opposed to just points on this. I keep wanting a drop more decision space around the game, because what decision space it does give is fairly procedural. It gives you a good set of choices, and there is strategy to the game, but there's not a lot of different things to be mindful of past which cards to take and how they fit into your timeline. After that, there's just not enough different things going on. Now, it's worth noting the Kickstarter does have 2 expansion modules in it. It has a time work expansion, which gives you these other abilities. I'm very interested in trying that out. I'm very curious to see how it affects my enjoyment of the experience, because I like the core game for the simplicity and accessibility it gives me, but I do want that a little bit of extra decision space, and that might give me that. It's also worth noting, while I bring that up, the other module is actually the solo mode. So when I said 1 to 4 players, it is actually 1 to 4 players, assuming you have the solo mode option on the Kickstarter. I don't know if those are Kickstarter exclusive or going to retail. I don't know those options, but those are additional modules for the game to give you a bit more decision space and player count flexibility. Anything else you don't like?
Mm-mm.
I think that really, for me, it just comes down to that decision space. Everything else is very clean, very simple, very fun and engaging. I just want to drop more decision space out of the game. Anything we can see others not liking?
Not really.
Yeah, for me, I don't know if there's anything specific otherwise that comes to mind. Even within the category of what I can see others not liking, I guess the luck aspect, there is some degree of potential luck around the cards that come out on your row, as you're trying to figure out whether you gather cards that fit into your tableau, depending on where we each are in our respective timelines, whether we reset. There might be a whole host of cards that are great for you, and some that aren't good for me. Now, the Ancestors do give you some ways to mitigate around that, or you can just choose to go through the decision space of starting a new timeline or not, but I can hear some degree of luck, although having 6 cards out does give you a general amount of freedom and flexibility, and between managing your own flow of time when you're taking a turn, when you're trying to take 2 turns in a row, or when you're taking an Ancestor, those all give you different options to mitigate around that, which is why, while it's present, it hasn't actually bothered my experience and enjoyment of the game. Final thoughts and rating.
I really like this game. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun playing it. It was very easy to play. It was quick to get to the table. It was quick to learn. It was easy to play with our kids.
Yeah, yes.
So that was also very helpful, and I'm just very happy with it. I would give it a 4.
4? Solid. Yeah, so for me, this one is going to be a 3 out of 5 for right now. I do think that the Time Warp module can easily bump it to a 3.5 for me. I really like the simplicity. I really like the game is enjoyable. It's very easy to dive into. It's very easy to play. It's the kind of game I'm not going to request it that often because I prefer heavier games in general, but it's one that I'm always happy to dive into and play. I just want that a little bit extra decision space, which is what I already harped on heavily doing the what I don't like section, which is it's good, it's great, I'm happy it exists, I'm happy it's offering that simple gateway. I would say I actually found this a drop back in terms of the decision space compared to Trekking the World, which we haven't reviewed on the channel yet, we will at some point. I actually think Trekking the World gives you a bit more decision space, which I liked a little bit more. I still enjoy Trekking Through History, I think it's another solid addition to the series, and I'm eager to dive into the Time Warp module to see what it adds, because I like it, I just want to like it a bit more than I already do, and so I'm hopeful that that will add that extra amount that I'm looking for. In any case, until next time, I am Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co.
Hi, Rena.
And have a good one.
I didn't laugh. You're going to make me laugh.
Ready?
Your fault. No.
Hey, I'm Alex. Hey.
Not yet.
Whenever you're ready.
Okay.
I'm ready when you are.
Okay. Hold on. Don't say anything yet. Oh. Okay. Now I'm good.
I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Think sad thoughts. Think sad thoughts.